Hey, so big news regarding a few different communities at this point. I'm sure many of you have seen the Ava Kris Tyson situation with MrBeast, but there's also the T-Lexify situation in the zombies community. We're going to be covering the Ava situation first because there's just so much more going on in the MrBeast drama to be covered than the T-Lexify drama, but we will get to T-Lexify at a later date. Now, before we get into it, please be sure to like this video, comment, and if you understand that I don't post that consistently, but you still want to support my channel by subscribing, I very much appreciate you. One more thing I want to say regarding this issue, because it is a point of controversy. Yes, it is important to protect people from unwarranted stereotypes that are bigoted in nature. I get that. In the past, have countless trans people been wrongfully accused simply because they are trans and different? Absolutely, and it's awful and disgusting every time. Saying that every trans person is a predator is obviously not true. But does being a good person and recognizing that and fighting against such bigotry also require you to then abandon unbiased observation? Does it then require you to then claim that no trans person could ever turn out to be a predator? No, of course not. That's not true either. But again, if this case does turn out to be true, which it seems like it is, does that mean that this person then represents everyone in their community or demographic? Absolutely not. Does every single perceived conservative guy who has this type of mustache message underage girls? No. Was this particular one doing just that? Yes. Does he then in turn represent every single person who has a mustache? No. It's not complicated. So if we could again, I'm talking to both sets of people, whether you're conservative or liberal, can we please try and keep identity politics out? And rather than making decisions and digging in our heels based on our color-coded systems of what's red and what's blue, we instead just focus on the evidence we have so far? I know that's not likely that the request would be respected, but I thought I'd ask anyways. So let's get into it. For those who don't know, Ava, who used to go by Kris, is a longtime friend of MrBeast and now has allegations of grooming as well as sexual misconduct with a minor circling around the internet right now. So for starters, it appears this guy Prism kicked off this whole thing. He made a video talking about the individual named Lava, who, if you don't know, was a fan of MrBeast. He had won a couple of contests, and through that, he ended up in contact with those guys over at MrBeast's channel. Lava was around 12 or 13 years old when this kind of started. His parents even drove him up to the MrBeast compound a couple of times to meet his favorite content creators. He ended up moderating then Kris's streams and Discord at the time, and that's about all we knew so far up to this point. But Prism made a video insinuating something more nefarious or intimate. If you watch Prism's video, though, his evidence isn't all that great to suggest something romantic, but he does have evidence of things that were obviously inappropriate. He has comments from within Ava's old Discord, where everyone is acting essentially like a middle school boy trying to say the most offensive and edgy jokes possible to impress each other. But when people in the chat are between the ages of 13 and 15, that's obviously way inappropriate. Here is some audio of some very inappropriate conversations.
He just gets with some dude with some cancer and he shoves it in his mouth and his mouth. Yeah.
That's
Cancer
hot.
mouth from cancer.
I know, dude. I would inside of that egg and then watch her eat it, and then watch her have sex with another man while she comments about how my genitalia can never satisfy her.
Again, they are just trying to be super edgy, but it is very inappropriate. Now, being real, if every person in this chat was straight, even if they are at different ages, people really wouldn't care all that much. But because the oldest individual who's leading the chat is bisexual, that leaves room for suspicion of said individual's motives, and that's where the eyebrows start to raise. But the problem with Prism's video is he does a lot of exaggeration or insinuation and hyperbole. For example, these comments made in a mostly public setting, whether on Twitter or in Discord with several people, Prism then tries to make them sound like they happen privately or through DMs or one-on-one, and for almost every single one of these, that's not the case. There's even a comment from Lava talking about a camper trip that he took, and Prism tries to insinuate these comments are proof that as soon as Lava turned 16, he drove up to the compound to pick up Kris so they could sneak off into the woods and fuck. Which is a pretty serious thing to insinuate considering that Lava was only 15 at the time and Ava, then Kris, was in their 20s. But it's also important to note that people online are saying that Lava is straight and not gay or bi, so that also makes these insinuations a little bit more complicated for the time. Even stranger is that Prism admits that he sought help from DDP and Kris Chan when attempting to spread the word on his findings, which in itself was super strange to a lot of people considering DDP and Kris Chan are also kind of known as predators. But anyways, I'm telling you, this story has a lot of crazy twists and turns, so buckle up. Anywho, Lava comes out and denies that Kris's comments in the Discord and on Twitter were anything more than inappropriate jokes, saying that all the claims are being exaggerated, nothing happened, saying that Kris never sent him sexual messages, saying that he is not a victim, and anybody trying to claim that he is taking away from real victims. even addressing the romantic camper rumor that Prism was trying to spread, stating that him and his family were on vacation in the camper and his parents agreed to stop by so he could say hi to the MrBeast crew and then went back to their vacation, asking people why are they twisting that into such big lies. Now, I'm not sure that Prism wasn't onto anything in his video, obviously, but I will say that he has a lot of hyperbole and exaggerations and things that he just blatantly fabricated. Which, for one thing, doesn't help us get to the truth any quicker, and two, if something bad did happen, this shady way of making videos only threatens to delegitimize something that may be very real. Now, even though Lava denies private messages, there were private messages on Snapchat. We know this because he posted a screenshot of a message from Kris from Snapchat stating, quote, "I'm coming for America," which again, if between two bro friends who are around the same age, it just seems like really dumb guy humor. But when one individual is 15 and the other individual is bisexual and in their 20s, it's worthy of raising a few eyebrows. Now, a lot of people were saying that the Lava situation was a red herring because there were other 14-year-old boys that Ava was messaging back in the day. And Jake Franklin, who was once a member of the MrBeast team, came out and not only corroborating the claims that Ava had this problem, but also stated that MrBeast, Jimmy, knew the whole time. Then, somebody leaks their Snapchat conversations they had with Ava when Ava was in their early 20s, and this individual was around 14 years old. And the conversation seems mostly normal, talking about weird messages I received from somebody else today, look at this, or hey, I'm heading to Walmart, or have you played any good games lately? But then you see kissy faces. And then you see Ava calling this kid dad, which some people are saying that then Kris used to call a lot of people dad, and I guess it's not as bad as saying daddy, but saying that paired with kissy faces is just a little off. It seemed a little too weird, you know what I mean? The post of these leaked messages were actually reshared by Jake saying, "See, there's more." Now, right after this individual leaked their Snapchat DMs with Ava, they went back and saw the entire conversation was now missing. And they presumed that they had simply been blocked by Ava. But as it turned out, Ava had seen the leaked messages online and in response decided to completely delete her Snapchat profile, which in turn erases all DMs that she had with anybody on Snapchat. Now, that in itself is a pretty telling red flag. Someone else came out, leaked their own Twitter DMs with Ava, and these messages were not just inappropriate, they were flirty. And this individual was also around 14 years old. And in these messages, Ava is telling this individual that she wants to buy them a bunch of stuff. You know, I can spoil you. The only thing keeping me up at night is texting you. I love you. Then sending a shocked face and then joking, of course I mean I love playing Minecraft with you, LOL. Like, this is obvious flirting from someone who's in their 20s to someone who is 14 years of age. And Ava then deleted all of her tweets, which means that there's actually no way to go back and find tweet replies where she tells someone to go into their DMs, because that's what a lot of these fans were saying is how it happens. They would comment on Twitter, and they would get a response comment from then Kris, and Kris would then lead the conversation to Twitter DMs. Then after this, a guy named Dogpack, who allegedly also worked for the MrBeast crew, also came out against Ava. First thing he posted was this image drawn by Shadman. Now, I don't know if any of you guys are familiar with Shadman. I was not sure who Shadman was before this. And then after I went researching for this video, I found Shadman's fan wiki, and I felt like I needed to take a fucking shower because this guy is creepy. It says, quote, he has become quite infamous online for his tendency to draw both real people and fictional characters, usually girls of dubious age, in very sexualized or sexually compromising positions. Yeah, I would say this guy qualifies as a sicko. And people should probably not be associating with this dude. The cherry on top is his cartoon persona that he made for himself, which is a skeleton Nazi. But anyways, he does commissions for his style of artwork, and Ava actually commissioned a piece that depicts a joke about incest between a little boy and his mom. Then Kris even made sure to include his running Tide Pod spaghetti joke. Now, to be fair, Dogpack did try to twist some things and suggest that the hair of the characters in the cartoon match Ava's family, which isn't true, because Ava's son is actually blonde in real life, and Ava does not have a daughter. But regardless, even if the hair color or number of characters in this piece does not match up, it is still creepy nonetheless that Ava commissioned such a piece. But Dogpack has apparently been working on a video, or several videos, for months, coincidentally, that breaks down all the corruption and lies going on behind the scenes at MrBeast beyond the Ava situation, and he states that the Ava situation is just the tip of the iceberg. Then after this, Ava finally came out to address the situation, saying that she was going to step away from the MrBeast crew and step away from the internet, claiming that it was all just inappropriate humor, and apologizes for the offensive jokes, saying that she can't change who she used to be, but she's going to take time to become a better person, yada yada yada, and then made sure to point out that Lava said they were not a victim and all that stuff was just blown way out of proportion, and that this was all just some big misunderstanding that got taken way out of context. But Ava refused to acknowledge the leaked Snapchat conversations that scared her so bad she went and immediately deleted her entire Snapchat, nor did she mention the Twitter DMs for that matter. But then, on top of everything else, another associate of Ava, then Kris, posted this video.
Kris Tyson from MrBeast used me, manipulated me, and did very inappropriate things with me while I was about 15 years old. I was actually friends with Lava GS at the time, who is the main victim of Kris that everyone has been talking about these last few days, who claims he isn't a victim, but we all know he is, and we all know he probably got paid off. Not only that, but he's also under an NDA from when he worked for MrBeast Gaming for 2 years, and he tried to get me to join MrBeast Gaming himself, Lava. He's the one who actually sent me the contract and tried to get me to sign the NDA, at which point I ended our friendship because I knew they were just trying to silence me. Me and him were both initially involved in running Kris's Discord server, helping him set up his Twitch streams and moderating them.
Nate's calling me. Hey, what's up? You're on stream.
You just leaked your address. Please end your stream. As well as other technical back-end things that he needed help with. This Discord server that we were a part of had about 10 people in it, most of whom were minors. I'm not sure how they got in there, other than me and Lava. He won a giveaway and Kris invited him after that, and Kris invited me after I saw one of his tweets asking for help setting up a Garry's Mod server for the 10 million subscriber MrBeast video. This turned into us having lots of private conversations with Kris and playing video games with him for hours on end. Not only did we do a lot of unpaid work for him that he promised he would pay us for, he would also frequently bring up sexual topics that was definitely not appropriate to bring up around 15, 16-year-olds, especially with him being like, I don't know, 20, 21 years old. He would even go as far as linking me several different corn and hentai videos throughout the time of me talking with him. Not only that, but he had an NSFW bot in his Discord server before he made it public. So when it was just a private server, his little circle of minors. And he would use this NSFW bot to spam different corn images, alongside all these 15-year-olds. He would also frequently call me dad and daddy as well as the others, which I guess we all kind of just took as a joke at the time. You have to think this is someone who we looked up to at the time, we idolized, we thought was the coolest person in the world, so they couldn't really do any wrong in our eyes. But looking back, I was definitely uncomfortable at being called daddy by a 20-year-old. And even just thinking about it now, it's just uncomfortable. This server later went public and became his official Discord server, but before it did, he had me and Lava spend multiple days scrubbing this Discord server clean of all of the N-words he had sent in it, as well as his friends, as well as deleting the NSFW channels and making sure no one could see that he was spamming corn to minors. This story is so much bigger and runs so much deeper than any of you really realize, so if you want to hear more and you want a part 2, let me know. This is part 2 to yesterday's video of me talking about Ava Kris Tyson and what they did to me when I was 15 years old. This video has all the proof in it, all the receipts, and all the screenshots, thanks to an old friend of mine who was a moderator in Kris's Discord server at the time, Cookie. Now, Cookie actually went ahead and downloaded logs of all the individual channels on Kris's server before it went public, knowing that this was kind of being covered up, and he kept the logs of it for himself. He actually reached out to me here on Twitter, and I'm going to provide a lot of the screenshots backing up the claims that I made that Lava refuted. For example, I made a claim that there was an NSFW channel in the server where Kris would spam corn. Here you can see Kris talking about locking down the NSFW channel to True Gods and Anointed only. By the way, this is in 2019. I was a True God and I was a minor. Not only that, but you can see me right below it, Nathan.rtx, saying, "This is a bad idea." So even I knew as a kid that this was a really bad idea. Here is Lava himself talking about starting the commencement of cleaning the server, word for word. I said he was talking about scrubbing the server. He says that never happened. Here you can see him talking about it, as well as me and Cookie himself talking about it. I just want to make this video real quick, disproving some of the claims that Lava refuted. And showing that they actually are true, but I actually have thousands of Discord messages to go through in these logs that I was just provided by Cookie. Shout out to him for giving me them, and I'm going to be going through them and posting an update video with some more proof.
After these videos dropped, Lava came out and admitted he went back to old messages and says, well, his memory kind of failed him. Things were, in fact, actually pretty bad, and though he still doesn't consider himself a victim, he still condemns Ava for what she did. Nate was also later able to confirm that MrBeast was in fact present in the Discord filled with minors, which means that MrBeast was present to everything that was going on in there, contrary to later statements released by MrBeast suggesting that he had no idea what was going on. Another side note is that someone reminded everybody of a video that DDP put out last year, claiming to have learned through a mutual that Ava was, in fact, into watching child pornography. Now, of course, everyone can easily say, well, DDP has no room to talk, but regardless, this claim unfortunately now holds pretty heavy relevance and possibility, given the things that have recently unfolded. So now we have two individuals, Dogpack and Jake Franklin, who worked at the MrBeast compound, corroborating that Ava is a minor attracted person or predator, with Jake and Dogpack specifying that Jimmy, MrBeast, knew all along. We also now have confirmation that Jimmy was in fact in the Discord all the way back when it was private. And even though Lava came out to Ava's defense, we now have Nate coming out confirming Lava is under NDA and wasn't being completely honest, pointing out the Discord server was initially private, not public, and filled with only around 10 people, the majority of which were minors, and he's not sure how they initially got access to the Discord or how they were selected by Chris. Nate states when he was 15, Chris didn't just say dirty things, but actually DM'd him pornography on several different occasions, stating that Chris also had an NSFW bot that would spam porn to, quote, his little circle of minors, and Chris didn't just call him dad, but also referred to him as daddy. Nate suggests that, unlike Lava, he can talk about whatever he wants because, unlike Lava, he refused to sign the NDA because he knew they were just trying to keep his mouth shut. And after Lava went back to view some old messages from Ava, he quickly changed his mind, admitting that he was initially going off of memory and his memory had obviously failed him, feeling he was probably just naive to what was actually happening. Fun, kind of unrelated fact, Ava used to excessively use the N-word. Ava also commissioned suggestively incestuous artwork by a guy known for drawing kitty porn. Ava was caught messaging multiple 14-year-olds, then tried to retcon 2 social media profiles to cover all that shit up. And yes, some of the comments or some of the interactions were just immature edgelord jokes, but there was also flirting going on as well, not to again mention Ava using an NSFW bot to spam pornography to minors. There is no two ways about this. Ava is cooked. Now, as previously stated, MrBeast did come out with his own statement on the matter, claiming that, of course, this is all news to him, and he can't condone anything that he's seen come out, and he has to let Ava go, and Ava will no longer be a part of the MrBeast brand anymore, but he also states that he is hiring a third-party investigation to look into Ava's activities. Now, who this third party is, he doesn't say. Could it be some private online group? Maybe. Could it be law enforcement? Maybe, but we just don't know yet. What we do know is that MrBeast is lying or gaslighting, trying to insinuate that he didn't know anything. We now have evidence proving that he was there in the Discord chat when all this crazy shit was going on. But all in all, this situation makes me personally very angry. I know people who are very good, very nice people who are trans, and I have seen people who are trans having been brashly labeled by horrible titles or assumptions simply because they are trans and different, and it's awful and it's sad. And the predator stereotype is commonly generalized, and it doesn't matter if the 99 baseless accusations are bullshit because it only takes that one person to spark that stereotype back up and keep it going. So on top of the poor kids who were seemingly taken advantage of by Ava, Ava has on top of that caused a shitstorm of irreparable harm for the trans community. Good fucking job, you asshole. Anywho, that's where we are right now. This is crazy. If you guys see or hear anything else, let me know down in the comments. That's it for this video. I will catch you guys next time.